Alright guys, welcome back to Tomboy Official. Back to the podcast. So for I guess for the next place I moved, I was kind of renting out this really strange spot over near the San Ysidro DMV. This guy had like this office loft kind of place, and so I just stayed there. Like, there was a bathroom downstairs, shower upstairs, and the whole room was upstairs. It was a pretty big space. It was probably like 30 feet by 15 or something. Like, it was pretty big. Like, it was probably about as big as a studio apartment, but the fourth wall didn't completely meet the ceiling. It was just like a loft up there. And the shower, I had to plug in a water heater, and there was this big garage door that was pretty rattly. It wasn't like a house garage door. It was like a shop garage door. So when the wind would be picking up and like when it was stormy out, it would just be rattling all the time. And this guy's office space was downstairs. He had like kind of like a meeting area with like a leather couch with recliners and like some alcohol and some just all kinds of stuff. A table, chairs. So, like a mini fridge. I added like a burner, and there was already a microwave. And I stayed there for a while. I don't know if it was like a year and a half or something, or maybe even 2 years. I don't know. But I mean, the things I liked is that I had the place to myself. Like, this guy worked out of the place pretty much like 9 to 5, but I also worked 9 to 5, so I would leave before 9, and then I would leave my job at 5, and then by the time I got there, most of the time he wasn't there. Sometimes he'd work late, or sometimes he'd come in like in the mornings, or not really too early in the mornings. A couple times it was early mornings. Like, it wasn't the best setup, but it was like 10 minutes from work, and it was hot in the summer, cold in the winter, and like I said, the rattling of the door and stuff, and like, but it was secure, it was safe. It was fine until like there was a machine worker that used to come in really early at like 6 a.m. And so he would come in and start to work, and it was really loud. And that was probably my biggest concern, was that there was nothing I could do about that. So I had to start waking up that early, but I wasn't really always sleeping good, depending on what the weather was like for that garage door. So that was a little hard, but it was super cheap. It was like 500 something bucks for rent, like 530 or something. And I pretty much had the place to myself, upstairs and downstairs, almost more than not, like towards the end, I wasn't there alone a lot, because like they were working on a lot of stuff. But when I first moved in, like, I wouldn't see anybody for ages, so it was really perfect at first. Like, I didn't care that it wasn't like a classic like apartment, because it was so cheap and it was close to work and nobody was really bugging me. Like, after work, I didn't study or anything. Like, there was no Wi-Fi, I remember that, but I have like, I'm on my family's data plan. I've always been on it, and so we've always had unlimited data, so I pretty much just used my cell phone. That didn't seem to be a problem. And like, it wasn't perfect, but for the price, it was fine. And, you know, I didn't have to deal with roommates. I remember, like, there was, like, you know, the ground floor had, like, this big, like, work area and, like, with, like, wood floors. And, like, I would just be dancing at night and stuff for, like, an hour or two. And, like, I remember losing a lot of weight because, like, I was just getting, like, an hour or two of cardio, like, every single night. You know, like, nobody was there to, like, tell me to quiet down or stop jumping all over the place or whatever. So I would just be dancing to the music and stuff and having a good time. Like, that was probably my favorite thing about that area. And just, like, there was a lot of privacy in a lot of ways, but it wasn't, like, 100%, like, privacy. It was, like, okay, you know? Like, nobody was really ever there. So, if that made sense. It wasn't, like, you know, like, I remember being there once and, like, there would be workers there, but they weren't workers that I knew. They would just be running machines and stuff. And so, yeah, like, I was kind of, like, okay with it. But then there was this one, like, it was hard to take days off work because it was like, well, if I take a day off work, what am I going to do? I'm not going to, like, sit around while they're working all day. So it's not like I could stay home and just, like, not work, you know? So, like, I worked a lot because, like, I didn't have any reason to take days off. Like, where was I going to stay, you know? So, like, unless I was going to go out of town or something, which I hardly ever did anyways. So it was fun for that reason. But, yeah, it wasn't ideal, but I paid off a lot. Like, I had some debt at that time. I don't remember exactly from what, but just from just not having, like, a financial plan and just spending like I wanted to spend and not really, like, focusing on, like, actual planning financially. Just being really irresponsible with money, but it was my money, so it didn't really matter at the end of the day. But, yeah, like, I had plenty of extra money to spend, but I didn't go out a lot either because everything was so far. And I couldn't really Uber because it was a far Uber. And people didn't really come visit me. And so, like, there were occasions. I used to have a friend that was, like, so bored where he would stay that he would literally drive all the way down, come pick me up, take me to go meet, you know, other friends and stuff. And we'd hang out and do stuff. And then, you know, he'd take me back. But other than that, it's like, I mean, it wasn't, like, glamorous. There was, like, nothing glamorous about it whatsoever. But it was peaceful because nobody was there. But every now and then, the guy who owned the place would be, like, talking to me. Like, not, like, rude or anything. Just, like, he would talk and, like, you know how it is. Like, sometimes when you get home from work, some people just don't want to talk. I'm one of those people. When I'm done with work, usually I don't want to talk. But he was kind of, like, wanting to talk a lot and stuff. And I was kind of not into it. I was kind of just, like, not wanting to talk to him. So I would kind of recognize, like, if his car wasn't there. But then I think not only when there was that machine guy that would come in at, like, 6 a.m, not only that was a problem, but that, like, he would be cursing and stuff, which is fine. It's like, whatever. But he'd just always be, like, cursing and swearing the whole time, which is really awkward because I don't know if he knew that I was there. I guess he should have known I was there, but he would always be like, mother F this, and, like, effing, yeah, and, like, cursing in Spanish and English, and, like, the whole time while he was working. Like, he was just not happy. Like, I don't know. I never interacted with him, really. Like, I would say hi, or if I was going downstairs or whatever. Like, he was never mean to me or rude to me, but, like, yeah, I'm just like, bro, like, in my head, I'm like, is that necessary? Because it would be, like, the whole time before I have to go to work and get ready to go to work, he'd be down there just, like, cursing and swearing and, like, while he was working, and it was really loud. And so there wasn't really anything I could do about that. And then this other guy started working there. He would stay there. He stayed there most days, and he started staying downstairs in the actual office. And he was always there, so, like, he would be there, and then, like, you know, so I couldn't really use that little lobby area anymore, because he was in the office. And so, you know, like, basically it was an office that some guy figured out how to build a loft in an office. And, like, it was nice. Like, it was nice enough, you know, but, like, I moved because I was like, this is too much. And that's when I moved in to the last place I was at, in Linda Vista, because I remember liking Linda Vista area. That's kind of my favorite place I've lived, my favorite area I've lived, because there's hiking trails all around. You can hike around USD. There's a skate park near there, with a park there too, with like basketball courts and stuff. And like, it's kind of a chill place to live. It's not like dangerous, but it is diverse. And, you know, there's a lot of mom and pop shops, a lot of good Asian food, a lot of fast food, good food takeout, you know, restaurants. There's just a lot of spots you can kind of hang out. And because when I first moved to San Diego, I was staying down the road, it was kind of helpful. But yeah, I didn't really know for sure. But, like, I didn't really know for sure if I was gonna, like, stay. But yeah, that was kind of the majority of what I had going on. It wasn't really like a huge deal, but yeah, there's that. And then, yeah, I just basically would, just hang out, talk, you know, like, talk on the phone, like, go online, like, I don't know, just work out and stuff. Like, it was good for exercise and for finances. I got my finances in order around that time, because I wasn't able to go out as easily, as often, and, you know, rent was super cheap. So it was pretty dope in its own way. It was kind of like a bit of a shot to the ego, a little bit, but it was also kind of like, it had its advantages. Like, I kind of liked what there was about it. I kind of liked that it wasn't like bad. Like, it was like an okay experience overall. So I guess that's kind of all I have to say about that. But yeah, then I moved into the place that I had just moved out of. Yeah. Alright. My daily from probably the evening of May 3rd, into May 4th, which is today. Lunchtime today. So from around dinner time yesterday to lunchtime today. So, you know, on the 3rd, I was kind of not too pleased, I guess I could say, that, you know, we were eating dinner pretty late. We ate around 7:30 p.m. Mind you, I usually eat dinner around 4:30 p.m. or somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. So I had prepared snacks. It was like a single slice of this cauliflower crust pizza that someone in the family had refrigerated, from something they had previously eaten, and then a Koya protein shake. I had like half of it. I had the other half of it for today's snack. So yeah, I mean, I ate dinner, felt pleasant about the food. We had this oxtail. It was always delicious. But there's something with the cooking, you know, I don't know if it's red meat or if it's I don't know if it's red meat or if it's oil that seems to kind of do something to my respiratory, my lungs, my sinuses. It kind of agitates things. And I've been having that situation come up, excuse me, quite often. But I get this cough, and it almost always seems to be after a day that I've eaten something that, that my folks have cooked. As far as like usually my dad cooking, because he does a lot of saute meals, or even like slow cooker meals. Like the meat usually is slow cooked, and while I appreciate it, it's just, I can't be having like weird problems like once a week or whatever. Like it's just too much to have to manage. So I mean, I've definitely talked to my folks about kind of like, hey, like I have my own, preferred type of food that I eat. I'm not saying that I totally eat healthy all the time. I mean, I'll have McDonald's once a week or something. But overall, I eat pretty clean. Not too high calorie meals. Not too much carbs. Not too much fat. Not too much red meat. Like, I don't really eat red meat at all. Other than, okay, so that's not true. Because if I eat McDonald's, I might get like a cheeseburger or two. But I try not to eat more than that of red meat, and I don't always go to McDonald's. But that's kind of like my main vice right now is the McDonald's. So, but yeah, like I'm trying. Now it's gonna get hot. So basically, I'm trying to, still work on my health. And everything along those lines, but like I'm grateful that I have people that are willing to cook for me and cook stuff that I like. I mean, oxtail isn't cheap, but the heavy oil is just too much. And I do notice the next day I always feel kind of poorly. Like I've been having sinus and kind of like throat clearing issues pretty much since last night. Since after I ate, it started kind of kicking in like before I went to sleep. So that's not good, but I'm trying to keep track of things and not be too like be strict but not so strict that I'm like depriving myself. But I want to see health results every week. Like I want to feel good every week, and I want to see changes in my health with the efforts I've been making. So it is a challenge, because I do kind of have a bit of an obligation to, engage with family. And sorry guys, I hang out in parking lots a lot, so that's how I kind of get out of the house. Just kind of find a place to chill outdoors so I can record. But it's a little challenging because people always want to freaking come up and park like right next to you. So, yeah, that's kind of a little. That's why I keep always rolling up my windows, rolling down my windows. Like I'm not trying to, decrease the quality of these recordings, but it is kind of hard to, record when there's people just always around because I'm in a public space. So, yeah. So there's that. I think I see a kind of shady area So I'm gonna go take that spot actually. So yeah, excuse me while I drive. I'm gonna park in some shade. So yeah. I don't know if somebody's over here working on these cars. There's a lot where I always park. Well, not always, but one of the lots I park at and hang at. There's a car that's always there with a cover on it. And it looks like there's a bunch of other stuff, like a lawn, like a kind of like a foldable beach chair, a tire. In the tire, there's some bags, some belongings in there. So I wonder if during the rain, this car got, I'm wondering if during the rain, you know, with the wind, the cover got blown off, because it looks like it's partly blown off and the wind's still picking it up. I feel like the cover's gonna blow off of this thing. But I don't know. The other day I saw somebody get in the car. They went under the cover and opened the car and were in there for like a few minutes, and then I saw them kind of crawl back out from under it. So it seems to be somebody who works here. I don't know if they live in their car or if it's just there. It doesn't seem to ever get towed. I haven't seen any citations on it. I've seen police officers roll through this lot a bit. Like, this part of the city where I live in, there's, you know, it's LA, so there's police. They just patrol everywhere anyways, and so I see them kind of patrolling on a regular basis, and like not like too many times a day or anything, but you know, it happens. Like, they're there. There's a presence, and they seem to see it and not be concerned, so I don't really know. The car looks like it would run. Like, visibly it's a sports car and it looks like it's in good condition, but I don't really know. I've never seen it move from that spot. So I don't know. I don't know how long it's been there, but it's been there at least a few weeks. So I don't know. But yeah. So yeah. Last night, I guess, you know, I was mostly alright. Just, I went to sleep. And when I went, you know, I went to sleep kind of early, had some melatonin. I had like half of one of them around 9 something. The second half of it, which would have been up to 3 milligrams of melatonin, that second half of it I had around maybe close to 10. And then I don't remember when, but I had a full one because I still wasn't falling asleep. So I had 6 milligrams of melatonin total, as well as the other supplements that are kind of mixed into that gummy. And you know, I knocked out around 10:30. Dreamt a lot, had a lot of dreams, and then was woken up around 3 something because of the storm, and the sound of the rain and everything kind of woke me, and I got a little warm too because the heater was on because it was raining and the window was open, and so I turned down the heater, went to the bathroom, couldn't go back to sleep. I was kind of up, not feeling great, but was kind of up, and that was at about like 5.5 hours of sleeping because I had started playing that audio track when I was falling asleep, and so I saw that it was at about 5.5 hours, so I stopped the track. I stopped the track because I was how do I say this? I don't know, I just stopped it. Like, I stopped playing it. Because I was like, well, I'm not really sleeping right now. And I kind of use it to track if I'm sleeping. So I wasn't really asleep actively at that time when I was awake. And I laid there for a while, tried to fall asleep, and I was like, I'm not going to fall asleep. So I just got up and watched this, I watched the most recent Jade Fox video. I think it was like an anniversary with her and Jaden, kind of talking about questions about relationships or something that they were taking from their audience. And I guess it's part 1 of 2, and so there's going to be a second part because they said there were a lot of questions that they didn't really get to. And so yeah, there's that. And then I basically went from there to basically went from there to eventually kind of falling back to sleep around 4 or something. It wasn't very restful, and then I slept till probably like 7:30, I think, 7:20, 7:15, or somewhere around there. Woke up, I was like, I don't really feel rested. But the track had like about a minute left, so I had slept total about 8 hours by that point. But I didn't really feel like getting up, having coffee that early, so I just laid there for a while till like 8:30 or so, and then I actually started getting up. Even though I didn't want to, I told myself I was gonna lay down till like 8:45 or 8:50, and then I was like, nah, just get up now. So I got up. This is this morning, May 4th. I got up, kind of started my morning. Had some egg bites from Sprouts, half an avocado, coffee. It was kind of bulletproof coffee. Not a lot of MCT oil, not a lot of ghee, but a little bit. And then still that mushroom coffee by Four Sigmatic, the one with the lion's mane and the, what do you call it, the chaga. And so, yeah, that's like 50 milligrams of caffeine. And just mostly protein and some good fat for breakfast. And some strawberries. I had strawberries too, but not really carbs. I don't know if ghee has carbs. It probably does, but not really any carbs. So maybe that's why my energy is not like super pumped. I wasn't really having like a super pumped day. And I figured, I was like, well, I already don't feel good, so, well, I don't not feel good, but I was like, instead of leaving early and studying outside the house, I was like, I decided just to study at the house. So I studied at the house this morning after breakfast. Kind of had a hard time with it. Was texting friends and kind of on Instagram a little bit and like a little YouTube. Just kind of, chatting online with people and not really focused on studying, but was studying. I basically studied to the point where I was just like, I don't really think I'm focused anymore. And so it was almost lunch, and I was like, let me beat the lunch rush. So I decided to have McDonald's for lunch today, grabbed McDonald's, and then came over to this lot to eat and do some recording just to get myself out of the house. But that's kind of how I roll. I'm like, if I'm home, I don't want to be doing a whole lot of stuff that's going to cost me a whole lot of money. I got this Vegas trip coming up too, so I'm trying not to spend a lot. I'm debating if I might go to a Cinco de Mayo gay bar event tomorrow, but I don't really know. Oh, and I forgot to mention, like while I was studying, I had a little bit of C4, a little bit, not even, like just enough to coat the bottom of the, the bottom of the little scooper with the powder, just enough to cover the whole bottom of it. So it wasn't really a lot. I don't even know how to dose that, how many milligrams of caffeine that is. Like, you're not really supposed to have it on the days when you have other caffeinated beverages, but I kind of was like, I kind of just need my energy to kind of pump up a little bit so I can focus on studying, and then when I do some podcasting, focus on that, because I was feeling pretty foggy. And that's been a theme. Like, I've been feeling pretty foggy most days. It's kind of hard to shake. I've got some doctor's appointments coming up and stuff, but I'm basically just gonna chill here until basically till I have to go to the bathroom pretty much, and then I'll head back to the house and probably get some rest, and then study for the rest of the evening pretty much. I try to get out of this area by like 2:45 or so it gives me enough time to get 2:45, giving me plenty of time to get back to the house, so that I'm like okay. And I didn't get gas this week. I try to get like $10 of gas, but I might just go get $10 of gas before I go home. I don't really know. So I might do that today. Got a nice free car wash from the rain, so I'm glad I didn't pay for a car wash this week, because the rain did a decent job this time. And yeah, that's basically all I've been doing. That's basically my plan for today. I haven't really been writing down every single thing that I've been doing like I was the other weeks. Let me see, when was the last time I did that? It looks like, well, maybe on like May 1st I kind of did it. I just wrote like a list of what I did. So yeah, and then Saturday, April 29th, I wrote a little bit of it. So probably since April 28th, I haven't really been writing down the actual like play-by-play of my day as far as timestamps of things, because I do kind of have a rhythm, especially since I've been kind of getting out of the house for quite a few hours. And I don't know, maybe I'm tired out this week because of the 3 days that I left the house. What was it, 3 days? Maybe it was 3 days. I think it was Saturday. I think it was Monday and Tuesday for sure. Wednesday, I can't remember. No, Wednesday was yesterday. I stayed home because Tuesday I had pulled something a bit of a back muscle at the gym. So I was like, let me just make sure I force myself to kind of relax. Plus it was Weed Wednesday, so I was like, let me just do what I gotta do, like stick to the plan, force rest. And I don't know, like I don't feel like I feel rested, but in some ways I feel kind of foggy too. So I don't know, and I don't know. It might be the cannabis, but I don't know because I have been using cannabis products pretty regularly. Not like every single day, but pretty regularly for a while. But it might be the strain of my vape pen. Like, that's the only thing I can kind of think of why I've been so foggy lately. If it's not something other than that, I really don't know what it is. Like, my mood isn't like sad necessarily. Like, I'm not like, I can't say definitively that I'm not depressed. Like, I feel like my energy is like not where I want it to be. Like, I'm still having trouble getting in my workouts and stuff, but I don't feel like my energy's like pumped up. Like, I don't wake up feeling like super refreshed, super alert, super like, high, fast paced kind of like ability. Like, I'm kind of like groggy and foggy most days, and I just kind of get up and I'm just like, and the other days this week felt a little easier for me. Today was the first day I was like, I don't really have the pure motivation to do what it is that I had set out to do as far as studying. And I don't want to take this stupid practice test tomorrow, but I also am kind of frustrated with the situation of, not being in work right now, and, I don't know, like, I'm kind of at a, like, I don't know, I get in this kind of like fuck it mode. I was talking to a friend about this, saying like I'm kind of in a fuck it mode, and that's kind of like a good state to be, because even though I'm not like purely motivated, I'm also not like so demotivated that I can't do anything. Like, I'm still like making strides and kind of getting the bare basics done of what I set out to do every day. It's definitely not like coming easy. Like, the way I felt Monday compared to the way I felt today, Thursday, is so different. Like, that microdose of Blue Meanie strain psilocybin was really impactful and helpful for me. And today I don't feel that way. And it's possibly just something as simple as not sleeping well. Because I did sleep. I slept 8 hours, but it wasn't uninterrupted sleep. And I did dream a lot, though, which was weird. The night before, I had kind of an unpleasant dream, which isn't normal for me. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember waking up and being like, that wasn't a good dream. But it wasn't anything specific that stood out that was bad. I just remember being overwhelmed and stressed in the dream, but I don't remember why. I don't remember like what the details were. I just remember like I woke up and I was a little bit like that wasn't pleasant. I didn't like that, but I guess I'm lucky. I don't have bad dreams often, but I also haven't been dreaming as much as I was. Like, there was a point where I was just having dreams a lot, and like very vivid dreams. It might be because I don't take CBN or CBD at night anymore, because I did switch to melatonin for the most part once I ran out of CBD products, so maybe that's what it is. I'd have to maybe check the details of the timeline on that to make for sure, but I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to really tell. Like, I really don't know, in all honesty. But yeah, I've been trying to chill. Just kind of, follow the game plan, make plans that seem very realistic and doable and able to be accomplished. And great, here comes some other person parking right next to me. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of what I've been kind of dealing with. It hasn't been days it's easier than it was. Like, I definitely notice, there has been some improvement to the ease of things. Like, it's gotten easier. Things have become a little bit easier. Like, compared to some other days before where it was like, I literally couldn't work out. I literally couldn't exercise. I literally couldn't eat healthy. I was just like buying Uber Eats all the time because I couldn't even stand to be like in a shared space with any family members, and just irritable all the time. Like, I don't really feel that irritability as much lately. Like, I kind of do, but not too much. Like, I do find myself kind of like a little bit back to my normal, kind of like cracking jokes with my folks every now and then, like saying a couple things, laughing a little bit, a little, not a lot, but a little. But I definitely am feeling a little less grumpy and irritable. Like, I don't feel like I have to completely avoid being around people just so I can make sure I'm not like disrupting anybody else's peace of mind, and like being like short and snapping at people and stuff. Like, I'm just, I do feel better on that end a little bit. Like, it's definitely noticeable, but I still don't prefer it. I still don't prefer to be like very interactive, but it isn't as hard as it was. Like, I've for sure noticed that it's not as hard as it was. Like, and I don't know when that changed, but it's definitely changed. I've kind of felt like some things are getting slightly easier, but I don't know. Like, it's not, it's kind of hard for me to avoid comparing how I feel lately, how I feel now, how I felt like way back, like in December of 2022. Comparing how I felt then, right before ending my job and stuff, like, and how overwhelmed and foggy I was then, where I literally couldn't even work. Like, I remember there was a day literally where I was at a hotel because it was one of my last days, like during my last week, and like just literally sitting there staring at my computer, like I was doing nothing. I finished nothing. I got like nothing done. And I did have some other days like that too, where I was like, well, the internet's down, or our system was down for like 2 or 3 days. So I remember back then, like, I think that was in October, and I remember back then being like so overwhelmed with work that I just checked out. I was like, I'll wait and see if any incoming calls come in, and I would take calls from clients, but I wasn't like making outgoing calls, which was fine. Like, I had good communication with management, and that was totally fine. They're like, it does make sense, if the system's down, to not like rack up work for yourself and then have to go back in and like back enter a whole bunch of like multiple days worth of stuff. But after like the second or so day of that, it's like, okay, they were like, well, you're just gonna have to back enter it, like get to the point where you have to back enter it. And then they were like, don't just sit on it anymore. But yeah, we were allowed maybe a day or two to just kind of, do what we could do. Like, I wasn't avoiding clients. I wasn't avoiding like incoming sessions or anything that had already been planned. But if it wasn't planned, I wasn't going out of my way to just like call and check in and stuff. And that was fine. They were like, that's fine. They didn't really mind, giving us that, that kind of freedom and flexibility. But I do remember just like knocking out in the middle of the day, a couple of those days, just being like, just like falling asleep in the middle of what would have been my shift because I wasn't getting any calls, and that was normal. It was a slow part of the season, and so when I compare that to lately, I'm like, I definitely feel better lately. overall. But then when I compare now and that ending chapter of 2022, comparing that to this and that to, you know, maybe how I felt when I was doing well in grad school, like 9 or so years ago. Um, like when I was in grad school and stuff, like, and how I was functioning, like in the early days, not when everything was like falling apart, but yeah, I was definitely more energetic, more just like, you know, I didn't have so many things stacked against me or so many things like interfering with my days. Like I always had poor sleep. That's never been, I don't think I've ever really had like the best of sleep patterns. I think this is the first time in my life I've ever been actively tracking my sleep, like I mentioned, like using that 8 hour, you know, audio track on my phone to like actually track how long I'm sleeping. Like I have had like a smartwatch or like some phone app that kind of like tracks your sleep snoring, and if you rustle on your pillow, and like, you know, and it shows you like spikes in time when you're, you know, like not asleep or whatever, or when there's like noise in the background or whatever. It was a free app, and I used that like years ago, but I haven't used it lately. And then the smartwatch, like it wasn't too accurate. Like it would say stuff like, "Oh, you slept 4 hours," or "You slept like 7 hours," or like anytime you would kind of like get up, it wouldn't really like start counting again. Like it would just kind of, like, I don't know, like if you were just like laying there, so it would count like maybe the time that I was laying there from like 9:30 p.m. to like 10:30 p.m. and I would know. I was like, well, I was awake, you know, like I wasn't sleeping, and it would have counted that as having slept. And then it's like, so it wasn't like super accurate. And you know, I did use it for a while, but I remember leaving that watch on for a few days, and then it kind of, I had some kind of weird issue on my wrist because it kind of, you know, I guess it has like a, I don't know if it's a laser light or like an LED light, but there's some kind of light. I think it irritates the skin. Like it kind of senses. It's like a sensor kind of light. I don't know what it's called honestly, but I think it kind of interferes with, you know, skin, and it kind of left this dark spot on my skin, like that kind of irritated my skin a little bit. And so, and my aunt had mentioned just before that she got like a burn on her skin because she didn't take it off, and I didn't really know what she meant by like a burn until I started getting like an issue, and I was like, oh yeah, I got like a little, you know, section of my skin kind of impacted by that too. So I stopped kind of relying on that smartwatch. Like it's not the best. Like it's good for some stuff. Like it's kind of stylish, and it's good for the gym to kind of like, you know, so I don't have to keep going in my phone and like writing down how long I spent doing stuff. But it's not too accurate all the time. So I mostly just use it at the gym now. I don't use it for like tracking sleep and all that. And it's not like the most comfortable to be wearing to bed either. Like it's comfortable in the daytime when I'm out, but even like right now I'm not wearing it. Like I wear it like pretty much specifically to the gym or as like an accessory when I go out. Just something that kind of, I feel like it looks kind of nice, you know. So it's like a small accessory for when I go out, but because I don't really have a lot of jewelry and stuff, but yeah, but yeah, it's mostly what I've been dealing with lately, and then planning on starting some health, getting my healthcare sessions kind of scheduled. So that's kind of what I've been working on lately. I wanted to write a lot of music yesterday, but I didn't. But I did listen to a lot of music and watched some music related shows and movies. I finished rewatching Straight Outta Compton, which I thought I had rewatched recently, but I didn't really remember it. So I was like, wow, like I really didn't recall that movie very well. And then I started watching Boys in the Hood. I'm a little more than halfway through that, but I've seen it kind of more recently again. Like I rewatch stuff a lot. I kind of just like it because, Ice Cube. And I was gonna rewatch Friday as well. I might actually watch it tomorrow because tomorrow will be Friday. Like if I don't go out for Cinco de Mayo, maybe I'll just stay home and watch Friday. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, it's just weird. Like I'm just like tired a lot, and it's really kind of strange, Like some days I can tell that like having a more rested schedule is helping me, and I'm definitely feeling and seeing the benefits. And overall, I would say things are improving, but it's just the little stuff, which is why I like to talk about it daily. I'm not, like I said before, like I might not keep recording these all the time, but it's easier than like writing it down for me because I realize I don't really go back and review it. There's something about talking about it, like mentioning it, recording about it, audio recording, that I kind of remember it a little bit more. And yeah, like I have been seeing some improvements. Like I do remember not that long ago saying that, I feel like really kind of shitty, and like, I don't want to be like irritated with people and stuff. And I was really feeling kind of like not okay, being around others. But I feel pretty good, lately. I feel like alright. Like I don't feel like that good, but I feel like alright. Monday I felt great though. Monday was probably the best I felt in a really long time. And yeah, today, it is later in the week though, so I gotta give myself that. It's like, it's not out of the norm to feel a little bit depleted and, more stressed and overwhelmed and slow. And it's not like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not just sitting around watching movies all day or Netflix or whatever. Like I've been pretty actively podcasting and, studying. I mean, recording these things does take effort. Like I have to sit and like think, and even when I'm not at my best, with, my speaking, I do have to think and try to like focus on what I'm saying, and like it does take a lot of focus. But I think it helps because I do need to practice kind of my verbal skills, because I am pretty isolated and avoiding people, and so I do think that is kind of making it harder for me to like talk more. Like I feel like wording of things doesn't really come as easily to me as it used to. But I'm also trying to pay attention to my caffeine intake, because I don't want to get into a habit of having so much caffeine that like I start experiencing anxiety and just caffeine crashes, irritability. For me, it just helps to have less caffeine in my system. So yeah, but I guess on that note, that was a lot to say, but that takes us up to May 4th, midday May 4th. So, yes, with that, thanks for listening.